How's it going, everybody? We just got some major new details on Death Stranding 2 on the beach based on the PlayStation blog going on a hands-on report here. And I want to go over these details for what they talk about. And this is going to be nice. A lot of positives, honestly, and improvements from the first game they go into. And just to reiterate some stuff here, this game is going to be essentially a more robust, refined version of Death Stranding 1. Kojima has listed some of the feedback from what it sounds like, based on what I've kind of glanced at in this article on PlayStation blog, and making the game just a lot better overall. But it still is going to revolve around essentially delivering cargo. If that isn't for you, I understand. I know there's a lot of people that didn't like being Mr. Amazon Man in the first game, but it's still going to be a thing here in part 2 with some improvements basically overall. So don't just write off just yet. Let's see how this is going to turn out. Kicking things off with Death Stranding 2 on the beach, the highly anticipated sequel to the genre-defying open-world adventure, launches on June 26 on PS5 with 48-hour early access available for select editions. The game is set 11 months after the previous game. Sam Bridges, now living a quiet life with his BB, which stands for Bridge Baby, Lou, finds himself in Mexico following a request from Fragile. In Mexico, Sam gets caught up in an incident that eventually brings him to Australia. There he must take on the Herculean task of traversing across the continent to, once again, reconnect a fractured society. Interesting note here is fast-paced story and gameplay. So the details on this part is one point that stood out during the game's hands-on experience here was its fast-paced narrative and gameplay. The story in the first Death Stranding took things slowly in order to set the scene and carefully lay out the state of the world to the player. However, Death Stranding 2 on the beach, this story unfolds at a faster pace, and you'll get access to new equipment and structures much earlier in the game as well. New players can catch up on the story of the previous game via Death Stranding Recap from the tile menu and look up game terminology from the in-game corpus feature. Death Stranding 2 on the beach takes full advantage of PS5's capabilities to deliver stunning graphics. The depiction of nature is especially striking, right from the opening scene set in Mexico, where you walk along a rugged desert bridge. The rocky ground and billowing dust at Sam's feet are rendered with such precision that the harshness of the terrain truly comes through. The game depicts the diverse Australian nature and wildlife in vivid detail, including an animal sanctuary with lush vegetation that is home to animals like kangaroos, koalas, and wallabies. There's also an option to switch to an aerial camera that captures Sam from an elevated bird's eye view, which allows you to take in the vastness of the environment as you slowly make your way across the terrain. The game's soundtrack is also outstanding. There seems to be increased freedom and strategic opportunities as well in this game. So Death Stranding 2 gives the player more choice and freedom in terms of strategy and decision making. One reason for this is the wide variety of equipment and structures that are available early on, a list that will continue to grow as the game progresses. This is the same for methods of transportation, as an array of infrastructure, motorcycles, and trucks will become available relatively early in the game. In terms of combat, there are many bullet guns and firearms to choose from. But if combat is not your forte, you can assemble transportation devices to strategically avoid the danger zones. You can also use smoke grenades to avoid combat as much as possible while navigating through dangerous territories. Players can also leverage the newly implemented day-night cycle to their advantage. During the day, the terrain and enemies are more visible, but it's also easier for threats to locate you. On the other hand, enemies are less likely to spot you at night, and it's easier to sneak around. But you must also proceed with caution since there's less visibility. Players must also be prepared for various natural hazards triggered by the environment. When an earthquake occurs, you may lose your balance due to strong tremors and falling rocks. If you are planning to trudge through rough terrain in the mountains, it would be a good idea to reduce your load in case of earthquakes. You'll also need to steer clear of flooded rivers when there's heavy rain. In the previous game, Sam's stats improved depending on his porter grade, but Death Stranding 2 on the beach features 12 new proficiency levels, similar to how you can upgrade your weapon proficiency by using them more often during combat. Your playstyle will directly impact Sam's stats and abilities. For example, if you spend more time traveling through rough terrain with unstable footholds, Sam's ability to traverse rough terrain will improve faster. Every player's stats will be different depending on the choices they make. Another component that modifies Sam's abilities is the new automated Porter Assistant System enchantment. By consuming memories acquired during the game, you can enhance 4 different traits: Porter, Combat, Stealth, and Swordsmanship. The number of memories you can pick up are limited, so it's up to you to decide which traits you want to acquire and upgrades. New enemies, new weapons, and even more compelling combat this time around. Death Stranding 2 on the beach introduces a new type of BT called the Watcher, which detects and attacks Sam through sight. There are also several new human antagonists, including a group called Armed Survivalists, who assault with lethal firearms. To take these formidable threats, you can utilize a variety of new weapons that have been added to the game. Electrified poles that were the mule's weapon of choice in the previous game can be used to strike or be thrown in this game to electrocute vehicles and enemies. In addition, various holographic grenades can be leveraged to avoid combat. A BT holographic grenade projects a hologram of a BT when activated, causing human enemies to flee. The robust selection of firearms allows for exhilarating combat, but many of these weapons are also ideal for stealth and ambush. The blog finalizes things with saying, Death Stranding 2 on the beach is a clear evolution from its predecessor and offers players plenty of freedom and choice. Prepare to face otherworldly enemies and obstacles to save humanity from extinction on June 26 on PS5. So just to reiterate the key details and points here, Death Stranding 2 is set 11 months after the first game. It's set in Mexico and predominantly in Australia. It's going to have stunning graphics and environments just on the base PS5 alone. A lot better game than Death Stranding 1 overall. Choose stealth, combat, or avoiding enemies altogether. More choices and freedom. More actions, but it's optional. More similar to Metal Gear Solid 5 in some ways as well. Still a game focused on cargo delivery. Character skill tree for Sam. Day and night cycles now. Natural hazards such as floods, earthquakes, and wildfires will be an occurrence in the game that you have to deal with. Put out fires by spraying them with a tar cannon. New BT enemy called the Watcher. Vehicles are more accessible. You can build monorails, teleporters, branching dialogue options as well too. An improved likes mechanic has been made into the game. Receive in-game text messages from other characters as well. Music player while traveling or in your room. Outstanding soundtrack compared to the first game. Even though the first game honestly had a great soundtrack too. There are quality and performance modes as to be expected with PS5 games like this caliber. If you like Death Stranding 1, you will love Death Stranding 2. I'm one of those that like Death Stranding 1 despite its issues and from a narrative standpoint as well as gameplay. I'm pretty sure I'm going to like this one as well too then, because I love Hideo Kojima in terms of his games that he makes. You know, he's a great game developer and his vision is always something out there unique, and I love it. And as I said before, it's coming June 26th for PS5, guys, so not too far off. Excited for this game for sure. What do you think about all these new details, guys? Sound off in the comments below. What excites you the most about this game? And I also may do a giveaway that's for my YouTube subscribers in the future when this game is about to drop. I'll hold off details on that when I do a before you buy video on Death Stranding 2. So stay tuned for that, guys. You don't want to miss out on that. And make sure you're subscribed to the channel as well too. But that's all I got for you. Hope you enjoyed this video and found it helpful. If you did, hit that like, subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you guys in the next video.